Welcome into another video, and the time is finally here, guys. It is playoff football time. After 18 very long weeks, only 14 teams remain for a chance at glory. And today, we are going to be going through 6 of those teams and 3 of those games in the NFC, breaking down the wild card round. Let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do that, make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below on who you guys think is going to win this weekend. In the wild card round, we got 3 big games. Let's go ahead and get into it. Kicking it off with the Rams at the Carolina Panthers, the 5 seed versus the 4 seed. Rams favored by 10 points. On the left there, you can see offense dominant, first and second in points per game and in yards per game. Defense floating more around the middle of the pack on the opposite end of the spectrum offensively for Carolina. And let's talk about our key matchups here. You got Puka Nacua versus J.C. Horn. Now, Puka Nacua cannot be stopped. He's one of those few players in the NFL that just cannot be stopped. But can you slow him down? That's what J.C. Horn is there to do. One of the highest paid cornerbacks in football this year, leads all cornerbacks with 5 interceptions across the NFL. This is a guy who you pay a lot of money to, that you need to rely on to try and limit Puka Nacua this Saturday, because that is the only way you can come to slow down this Rams offense. Let's look at our other key matchup, and that's the Rams defensive line versus the Panthers offensive line. Rams are 5th in the NFL in pass rush win percentage, and the Panthers are 23rd in pass block win percentage. But with that being said, last game, they pretty much did limit the Rams' defensive line. Only 2 sacks for 12 yards, nothing big. Bryce Young was able to stay up and healthy for the most part of the game, and the Panthers were able to take advantage of that and score a lot of points against this Rams defense. Let's talk about keys to victory. Rams, bring the house. That is a very, very important thing for them to do. Out of the 23 qualified quarterbacks who have faced 100 or more blitzes this year, Bryce Young ranks 22, second to last in the NFL with 5 interceptions against the blitz. If I'm the Rams, I think you can get home with 4. But if you bring 5, you have a good chance of taking Bryce Young out of this game. And then other key to victory for the Carolina Panthers, and it's as simple as that. It's the way you won the first game against these guys. Let's take the ball away. Rams are 0-3 this season. 0-3 when giving away 2 or more turnovers in the game. Been pretty good at protecting the ball all year long. But like I said, 0-3 when giving the ball away 2 or more times. And then for my prediction, we are going with the Los Angeles Rams. I predict them to win this game. And a big reason is that I think these are completely different rosters. I think there's another level to what the Los Angeles Rams can bring. I respect what the Panthers have done this year. They've made some serious strides. I'm happy they got a home game. I'm happy they're in the playoffs. But I do think that we're on another tier here. We really are on another tier here with the Los Angeles Rams and the Carolina Panthers. It was a very uncharacteristic loss against the Panthers back in November. We did see something similar against the Falcons as well. So there is some hope. There is a silver lining here for the Carolina Panthers, but I think that when it's said and done, this team's going to show up in the postseason. Like Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, I'll take those guys toe-to-toe with any quarterback head coach duo in the NFL. And I think that when the pressure is on, these guys are going to make some diamonds. I truly believe that. Let's go ahead and get into the second matchup on Saturday night, and that is the Packers, the 7 seed, at the Chicago Bears. A historic rivalry right here. The most matchups between any 2 teams in the National Football League. And they've already faced off twice this year in some very dramatic games. Packers on the road, favored by 1. And you can see here, kind of even to an extent on the left there in the graph. You know, the Bears 6th in yards per game, Packers middle of the pack. Points per game, Bears 9th, Packers middle of the pack. But their defense does really hold its own, being 12th in yards per game and 11th in points per game, while the Bears fall on the bottom end of that spectrum. And let's talk about our key matchups. And it's Jordan Love versus the Chicago Bears DBs, and why that's an important one. The Bears DBs have thrived off of taking the ball away. They are number 1 in the NFL, just DBs alone. They have the most interceptions in football across the board with the team, but they also are number 1 when it's just the DBs. They're killing it this year. They're killing it this year. But Jordan Love, on the other hand, 5th in interception percentage at only 1.4%. So he's done a very good job this year at keeping the ball out of harm's way. That's how the Bears win these games. A couple or more takeaways a game, they're in control. They win most of those games. If not, It's the opposite end of the spectrum. That's going to be one of the key matchups. Second key matchup is the Packers D versus the Bears run game. They've done a pretty good job containing the Bears run game in their two matchups, but that's still the third best rushing offense in the NFL. The Bears are going to have to establish that this Sunday to get their offense going, because that's kind of been their trademark all season long. Let's talk about keys to victory here. And these kind of go hand in hand, and you're going to understand why when I get to the Bears key to victory. And it's for the Packers, it's chip away at yards. It's as simple as this. These long drives. Keep the ball out of Chicago's hands. Pitch away at these yards, nice and easy. 3, 4, 5, 6 yard gains. Take your time. Don't rush to the ball. No hurry up offense. Just take your time going down the field and getting points out of it, and that will grant you victory. Like I said, the Chicago Bears, on the other hand, with my key to victory being strike first, and all of it ties in together with time of possession. In the last 3 games for the Chicago Bears, which they are 1-2 in, they have lost the time of possession battle by 10 minutes or more in all 3 of those games. Now, if you remember that second matchup between the Bears and the Packers, the Bears offense only touched the ball 3 times. 3 times in the first half. They got the ball back for their third possession with a minute and a half left. Only 2 opportunities to touch the ball in the first half. The Packers really revealed their script there. The Bears obviously came back and won that game with an onside kick in overtime, a very impressive win. But then the same exact thing next week. 49ers, these long, gated drives, just keeping the ball as long as possible, limiting the time of possession for the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears were scoring fast and scoring quick, but they were chasing. They were from behind. And then the exact same thing with the Detroit Lions game. The Bears only touched the ball 3 times in the first half because the Lions were able to just chip away at this defense, nice and slow, finding their weaknesses, running the ball, hitting these crossing routes, knowing that the man-to-man can't keep up there. And the Bears only touched the ball 3 times in the first half. Now the Bears came back to tie it up late in the game, but that's what ties into my Bears key to victory. You have to strike first. You have to strike first offensively. If I'm Ben Johnson and I win the coin toss, I'm electing to receive the ball. Then you establish a run. Try and go down there and score some points off of that, because that's big. You spent your entire season chasing all year long for the most part. You cannot chase in the playoffs. And I think if the Bears come out and they start up 7-0, then the Packers are going to have to adjust their game plan slightly, not fully, slightly. And then the Bears are going to need to get stops. As you can see, I predicted my Chicago Bears to win this game. I truly do think this is a coin flip game, as you can tell from their first 2 matchups. It's as tight as it can get. It's big nutters. It's down to the wire in both games, and I don't think that's going to change anything this upcoming Saturday. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I went with the home team, and of course, there's probably a little bit of favoritism in there. I would feel pretty stupid in such a tight matchup picking the Packers over my Bears, and that's as simple as that. That's not a knock on the Packers. I just think with as tight as it is and the Bears being at home, I have to pick the Bears, but I'm not going to be surprised if the Packers win this game. Number 3 game, you got the 49ers at the Eagles, 6-3. You can see here the 49ers offense has been one of the hottest offenses in football since Brock Purdy's return, 8th in yards per game, 10th in points per game, but their defense, as injured as it's been, not too bad. 18th and 13th in yards per game and points per game. On the other note, the Eagles offense has been one of the weaker units in football this year, despite their star power, coming in at 24th in yards per game, 19th in points per game. But their defense has been really good. Yards per game, 13th, points per game. They have a really, really good pass defense. And let's go ahead and get into the key matchups, and that is McCaffrey versus the Eagles front. Now, McCaffrey, definitely one of the better running backs and one of the best running backs in football by all means. But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily one of the best rushers in football. He's having one of his worst years when running the ball this year and averaging 3.9 yards per attempt, which is his lowest since 2020, and only 70 yards per game, which comes in at 12th in the NFL. But the Eagles, on the other note, have one of the weaker rushing attacks in football all year long, coming in at the 22nd rush defense in all of football. Their pass defense, like I said, very good. And then the other key matchup is the passing scheme defense of the 49ers versus Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts hasn't been lighting the world on fire through the air since Saquon Barkley arrived, and that's okay. But I fully expect him to try and take advantage of this 49ers passing defense, who ranks bottom in the league almost in their passing defense. We have watched countless quarterbacks this year torch the secondary. Obviously, there's a lot of injuries and a lack of pass rushes, the cause of that. but this could be a good way for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles passing offense to get the ball rolling. Keys to victory. And these two, I understand, kind of contradict each other, but I'm going to explain them. For the 49ers, it's limit Brown and Smith. I do think that Saquon Barkley is going to get his no matter what. Now, that's okay as long as you limit A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith to go with it. I think that we have watched a lot of teams through the air torch this 49ers defense. If you allow them to do that with how potent your offense is, they're going to be right there with you and give the edge to the Eagles defense over the 49ers defense to make more stops at the end of the day. So if you limit Brown and Smith, I think we're talking about an even keeled matchup here, right down to the wire. And then for the Eagles, it's just establish Saquon Barkley. That's how you open up Brown and Smith. Now, see, look, that's why they kind of contradict each other here. But if you're establishing the run and you're killing them through the run game, they're going to have no choice but to load up them boxes just a little bit more. Eagles got their work cut out for them. 49ers offense is legit, but I do think at the end of the day, Vic Fangio is going to find a way to limit them California boys coming out into the cold Philadelphia weather. He has a phenomenal passing scheme. That's how their offense runs. They've got athletic linebackers who can sort of hang with McCaffrey. He's one of those players who you can't fully stop. You kind of just need to slow down. I expect them to be able to slow down McCaffrey a little bit. And I think the Eagles edge this one out just a tad bit. Would not be surprised if the 49ers won. I think those last two games are really, really good matchup. I truly do believe that. I think they're really good matchups. At the end of the day, though, I think the Eagles squeaked this one out just a little bit. Two teams with a lot of playoff experience, but give me the Eagles. And there you have it. That is my NFC wild card predictions and preview. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another video. Tomorrow, we've got my AFC predictions and previews. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.